now in the studio to answer your questions is Kevin Lillywhite, a financial advisor from Best Advice. Thanks for joining us, Kevin.
No problem.
Well, the simple question's been so far is, are all these people doing the right thing, queuing up to take their money out?
Well, obviously there's a sense of panic out there, and panicking is never the right thing to do in a very difficult situation, but you've got to appreciate when this is people's life savings that they're very, very cautious with them. It does run the risk of exacerbating the problem, and obviously that's not good.
Let's go to one of your first questions. Let's hear what one of our viewers has to say, and if you can answer the question, Kevin, that would be helpful. Let's listen to this.
My question is that if banks in the future have this problem, will the Bank of England shore them up?
It's the Bank of England's role to act as lender of last resort to all banking institutions, so certainly they would be looking to take similar action. It's worth bearing in mind, though, that they've only taken this action because they believe that Northern Rock is an ongoing concern and is a viable business concern. Clearly, if there are issues over the solvency of the organisation, they wouldn't be looking to do that.
OK, let's take another question from one of our viewers.
Do you, as an expert, fully understanding the causes of the crisis in the financial world, and if you were the Governor of the Bank of England, what steps would you take to correct it?
A big one.
Yeah, a big one. I think the main thing is that the recent crisis has come from banks not knowing other banks' exposures to the current problems. This obviously stems from the American issues about subprime mortgages. Lenders are getting very nervous lending to each other because they don't understand the debt positions of the other banks concerned. I think in terms of what can the Bank of England do, I mean, clearly they've done what they should do, which is act as lender of last resort and shore up Northern Rock's position. There will be issues over whether they've done it in time, whether they could have taken more action. But I think at present you've got to appreciate that they too are in a position where they're not sure how much debt is rolled up on UK banking institutions.
Time for one more question, I think,
Okay.
Kevin. Let's hear another one.
If we are taking our money out of Northern Rock today and we are going to put it in the Halifax or the Abbey National or Alliance and Leicester, who is to say that it's not going to have a domino effect on our whole financial situation that we're in at the moment?
That's a question a lot of people are asking today. Are we all going to be affected by this?
It certainly is a fair question, and ultimately there's nothing to guarantee. However, what you've got to remember is that Northern Rock's problems are brought about by their business plan and their business model. They borrow money from the market to fund their lending. Now, clearly other banks don't behave in this way. Depositors tend to fund the lending operations of other banks. It's worth bearing in mind that you shouldn't chase the cheapest, the best possible rate in terms of savings, as banks may be trying to buy money in to cover positions. So I think that before you look at just the headline rate, you should talk to an advisor and make sure that you are going with an institution that stands the best chance of working a way through this.
All right, Kevin, we've got Duncan in Wakefield is asking by email, why can't the Bank of England absolutely guarantee Northern Rock savings for at least 6 months? That would stop the panic. Can they guarantee it for 6 months, all of it?
It would do, but under the regulations they won't do that. They won't step in and guarantee savings 100%. There is the savings compensation scheme, so the first £2,000 of anyone's savings is 100% guaranteed, and anything up to $35,000 is 90%. So you've got to remember that there are fairly good covers for people under $35,000.
What about after that?
After that, it's nothing. So. Not good news.
I think that's worrying, isn't it?
It certainly is when you think that people that hold cash in a bank tend to be cautious investors, and clearly they don't like taking risk.
OK, another email question from Neville from Manchester. He's asking, I'm a large depositor at Northern Rock and I'm very confused. What would happen if all depositors removed their money? Could the bank then continue?
I think as a business model they would have to review that, because certainly that would lead to problems. We've got to remember, although they lost $2 billion in terms of outflows over the weekend, that's a very small percentage of how much they've actually got on deposit. In theory, if that did happen, then yes, it would certainly be a difficult situation for Northern Rock. I think what you'd probably see is the talk that we've had this morning about buyers coming in and looking to take the bank over.
OK, Kevin Lillywhite, thank you very much for trying to shed some light on this situation for us this afternoon.
No problem at all.
Well, one thing that is guaranteed is we are interested in how England are going to manage in the rugby, aren't we, Charlie?
Well, we are indeed, yeah. We've got some better news for you. I'll bring you that in just a moment. But we'll start with some good news in the Women's World Cup of Football, where England have reached the quarter-finals in China after beating Argentina 6-1 in their final group game. England were in front as early as the 8th minute after Argentina captain Eva Gonzalez had headed into her own net. And just a couple of minutes later, that lead was doubled. Jill Scott's shot, somewhat speculative, managed to squeeze under the keeper to make it 2-0. And England's third came at the start of the second half. Kelly Smith's driving run was ended by Perez, who was sent off for her challenge. And Farrell Williams scored the resulting penalty to make it 3-0.